Well, today we start a new Sunday series titled Sacred Abundance. And that came about because I got to see this book called Sacred Abundance by a Unity minister, Robin Ryder. And it's a sweet little book. So we're going to be pulling some things from this book and also from some other authors. So let's begin with an understanding of this title, Sacred Abundance. Well, we all certainly know what abundance means, right? It means plentiful or ample quantity of something, like our parking lot has ample parking, something like that. But how about abundance from a spiritual perspective? In the book Revealing Word by Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore, we read that spiritual or sacred abundance is about ideas, divine ideas in our consciousness. And those ideas are about the omnipresent, the everywhere present truth, the everywhere present spirit. It's also about always available supply. We sometimes think, well, today I feel like I'm abundant, but today I don't. And that is really kind of irrelevant because abundance is always available. But it's also in spirit. It's also within. It's an invisible substance with the infinite capacity of expansion. Sometimes when we think of prosperity or abundance, we see it as limited. There's only so many eggs in the grocery store, right? But this invisible substance, this abundance that comes from spirit, that comes from within, is limitless. It has an incredible potential for expansion. So, sacred abundance sounds like it is a recognition of the one source and the one power, right? And then from this invisible, this spiritual source, comes an unlimited supply. But we always need to start. Come on, you know this last word. Within. Thank you. But the interesting thing in the revealing word, Charles Fillmore says there are steps to take. Yeah, he says there are steps to take when we wish to demonstrate, to express spiritual abundance. And first, we must recognize abundance is an idea that is real and that does have the power to expand. Then we must talk abundance. Choose words that express abundance. Words that help strengthen our faith, our knowing. This way we build or form in our mind that which draws to us an abundance of every good thing. Okay. And so, while there might be a lot of fancy words here, basically what it is telling us is that sacred abundance starts within. And we already knew that, right? We know that everything begins within. Everything begins in spirit. And then we open ourselves. And one of the ways we open ourselves up is to speak those words of abundance, is to hold those thoughts of abundance, is to be open to the one power and the one source of all. So we begin this first sacred abundance talk focusing on our spiritual journey. We all love to say we are on a spiritual journey. Oh yeah, I am. How about you? Yeah, we're all on a spiritual journey. And then what do we do with it? Well, I'm on a spiritual journey. But what do we do? What do we do? Is our spiritual journey a priority? Is this invisible spiritual source that we might call God or divinity or spirit, is that a priority for us to connect every day with that? What are you doing to make your spiritual journey, your awareness of the divine, a priority in your life? Certainly, if I look around this physical world and look at it only through my physical eyes, especially reading or watching any news, I may have a hard time seeing sacred abundance. All too often, I might only see lack and limitation, even when looking at all the beautiful spring flowers that are now popping up, right? But recently when I said that to somebody, they said, oh yeah, it is so wonderful to see all the spring flowers bloom. But you know, they're all going to be gone pretty soon. Now, she didn't say, and that is my negative thought, okay? But it did sound a bit negative. And yet, we know by looking at nature that yes, those spring flowers will die off, and then what happens? Summer flowers. Thank you, Georgie. Summer flowers come up. And more come up. And then just when we think we start to see them dying away, then autumn comes. And we see something else come up. So this coming and going isn't necessarily negative or positive. It is. It just is. And we can revel in all of it. And yet, we seem to be hardwired to look at lack or limitation or negative. We seem to be that way. And perhaps that is because many years ago, we had to be on the lookout for some animal that wanted us for dinner, right? And we had to be always on the watch. We had to be checking everything out, expecting the worst. And that's how we felt safe. That's how we might have survived. But you're not there anymore. We're not there, right? There are no monsters waiting for us, except if we think there are. Yeah. That mindset of expecting the worst, that mindset of just seeing lack and limitation, is a mindset that no longer serves us. But we no longer need to keep replaying that in our mind over and over again, because that thinking keeps us from living the life that we deserve. It keeps us from experiencing spiritual abundance. If instead we could come to truly understand and accept that we are spiritual beings, creating this human experience, then we could evolve into someone who can also express and experience sacred abundance in this physical realm. For many of us, that does seem difficult. How to experience our spiritual truth, how to experience sacred abundance in our physical realm and in our spiritual realm. We can feel it when we're praying and we're meditating and we're singing all the spiritual songs, and then we walk out our front door and it's gone. But that is the quest, isn't it? To bring those two together. And so the first step is to set your priorities. And we don't do that just on the first Sunday in January. No, we do that every day. We set our priorities. And if you truly desire to embrace sacred abundance, then every day set that as your first priority. Today, I acknowledge I am one with the divine. Today, I acknowledge that sacred abundance is mine. Even if we start our day off with prayer and meditation, start our day off in that, we can quickly lose our priority as we travel through this physical world. So many things happen, so many things are said that grab us, and we forget. So how about we anticipate that that's going to happen? How about we let go of magical thinking, okay, and get real? You know, probably during the day, something's going to happen. So in advance, we can say that any time during the day that I experience fear or worry or lack or limitation or negativity, I'm going to pause and take a breath. Just pause. I will affirm that sacred abundance is right here, right now, and choose to see and experience the world through our spiritual eyes, through that knowing who we truly are. Now, that's not to say that you deny that you're feeling fearful or that you're feeling worried. Yeah, acknowledge it. Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting a little fearful right now. Oh, okay. That's my cue. Turn that into something positive. Make that work for you. That's my cue to pause, to take a breath, and affirm what we know to be true. So that no matter what happens in our day that tells us that we should be fearful, we should be worried, that we should live that way, we say no, no. We take a pause and say no. We are heirs to the kingdom. And it's not because of anything special we did, no. It's because we were born a blessing. We were born a blessing. And we don't have to prove our worthiness. All we need to do is to put our focus on the one power and the one source of all. That's our priority. And as we do that and affirm that's our priority, we get in alignment with the divine. Doing so opens the door to the divine, which we have closed. So we take time during the day to make sure that that door is open, that the windows are open, even the doggy door is opened. Everything is open. Now, there's two more aspects of experiencing, well, there's actually there's the 3 G's, okay? But one of them is guidance. Now, the author of the book has a very clever way to interpret guidance. And if you have a pen or pencil near you, could write it out. And some of I know of you are visual people, which am I. And so if you are a visual person, it might be good to write it out. So she takes the word guidance, Guidanc. So she takes, pardon me? Oh, I didn't say that? Yeah, it is. There is, right, guidance. So we first have the letter G, and that's for guidance. And then she has 3 little dots, and then she has the letter U, a plus sign, I, okay, and the last word is dance. Yes. She suggests that we enter in to a mighty dance with the universe, trusting Spirit to guide us in all things. This dance with Spirit or with God will allow us to be open to all our good, the sacred abundance in the universe. And of course, it's another way for us to live out our annual theme of dancing with our spiritual powers. We put our spiritual journey first. And then, as we do that, we're open to divine guidance to support us in experiencing our highest good. Now, the other G word is gratitude. When we are viewing the world only through our physical eyes, it's sometimes difficult to feel or to live gratitude. And yet there is a power in gratitude. There is a special energy in gratitude. The power and energy of gratitude can heal people, can dissolve barriers, and can move us into experiencing abundance. Living or dancing with gratitude encourage us to have a different mindset, to let go of that fear, to let go of that lack mentality. We can actually go through our day experiencing blessings, even on those things that you never thought could be blessings. An irritation or a spark of anger can now be seen as a reminder to let go of our stories about someone or something, and instead help us to become more self-aware or more compassionate, and maybe even more patient. Gratitude helps us move out of our thinking, that thinking mind, into our feeling heart. Our heart is certainly one doorway into a dance with the universe, into divine guidance, and into all of our divine powers. So let's try something. And Deborah, you might not be able to do this. So I want you to follow my directions literally, unless physically you can't do that, okay? So, ready? We're going to take a breath in. I breathe out. Now, real quick, breathe out. Breathe in. Right. Hard to do just one without the other, isn't it? Yeah. Well, that brings us to one more G word, giving. The author Wayne Muller wrote that real joy is to be found in the balance between giving and receiving. Like breathing, we must inhale and exhale. Inhaling is not superior to exhaling. One is no more noble or good than the other. So this word giving is automatically tied to receiving. Years ago, I heard a minister say, we can't outgive God. Can't outgive Spirit. Can't outgive the universe. You see, there is a divine flow in the universe, a flow of energy that is always moving, that is flowing equally to everyone. You could say it's somewhat similar to the sun. It's always there, even if we can't see it, and it shines on everyone equally. That's just what the sun does. It has no other agenda, but to just be there for us. So what do? Are we open to the flow of the universe, or are we closed to it? Do we jump in to this always flowing good, or do we run back into fear and lack? Many refuse to accept their good, to accept their sacred abundance. Well, how do we do that? By only wanting to take or receive, or only wanting to give. You know, there's people who are wonderful, give, and then you try and give something. No, I'm fine. Okay. Or other people who just want to take. Time to give, I really don't have anything. You just took all that other stuff. So, if we want love in our lives, how are we giving love? If we want to feel safe, how are we giving safety? If we want to have prosperity, how are we sharing what we already have? If we want to receive understanding, how are we offering understanding? When we give and receive joyously and lovingly, we are demonstrating our willingness to enter into a divine dance, a certain energetic flow with the universe. We are opening the doors and the windows of our deepest self and entering in to the flow of life, so that peace and joy and sacred abundance are truly ours. Now, perhaps you have heard this prayer before. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. I notice some of you know that prayer. And that last line is so impactful for me. It is in dying that we are born to eternal life. And when I read that and think about it, and especially think about it metaphysically, for me it is dying or letting go of the idea that lack and fear have power. That I can let go at that fear of that worry. It has no power. And live, wake up to a life of sacred abundance. So this week, set your spiritual priorities by entering into a daily dance with the divine. Be open to divine guidance and practice giving and receiving, being in the flow of sacred abundance. And to help you do that, I'm offering a once-in-a-lifetime gift. It'll only be available this Monday through Friday, okay? And if you know me, you know this is a stretch for me. So, the one-time, once-in-your-lifetime offer to help you kick off this week of setting your priorities, making your spiritual journey a priority. Monday through Friday on Facebook, I will meet you there at 7 a.m. And we will have a prayer time. I know, I am not a morning person. We're going to meet there at 7 a.m. And we're going to kick off our day, setting our priority. You're going to meet me there in prayer and meditation. I'll have some nice music. Okay. 7 to 7:30, it's a half an hour. I was going to do it on Zoom, but then we'd all have to look really nice and, awake. So I decided no. You could stay in your pajamas and join me on Facebook, all right? You take advantage of that gift or not. I'm not taking attendance.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a blue light special, Monday through Friday at 7 o'clock.
What she said. There's always more. There's sacred abundance. And so, with that, I say namaste.